Such 6 secret money apps millennial bosses exposed to Gen Z staff. A 28-year-old startup founder told me last month that she actively hides her phone screen when her Gen Z employees walk by. Not because she's texting, not because she's on dating apps, because the wealth-building tools on her home screen would make her entire team quit and start competing businesses tomorrow. She said, and I quote, "These apps are the reason I'm a millionaire, and they're still arguing about which budgeting app has the cutest interface. These aren't on TikTok finance. They're what young executives actually use to build wealth silently." And after spending 3 weeks interviewing founders, managers, and young millionaires under 35, I'm about to expose every single one. Here's what kills me. The financial advice you're getting on social media is designed to keep you entertained, not wealthy. The real money moves? They're boring. They're unsexy. And the people who figured them out aren't making content about it because they're too busy getting cash. But I got them to talk. One of these apps literally lets you invest in assets that used to require a $500,000 minimum. Another one is how a 26-year-old marketing director I interviewed turned her emergency fund into an extra $4,000 last year doing absolutely nothing. And the fifth one on this list? It's so counterintuitive that most people hear about it and immediately dismiss it. That's exactly why it works. So stick around because number 5 alone could change your financial trajectory for the next decade. Let's get into it. The first app is called Fundrise. And before you scroll away, thinking this is some basic real estate thing, let me tell you how a 31-year-old tech lead named Marcus actually uses it. Marcus makes $140,000 a year. Solid income. But he lives in San Francisco, where a decent house costs $1.2 million. He's nowhere close to buying property. So 3 years ago, he started putting $400 a month into Fundrise. Not because he expected to get rich, but because he wanted exposure to real estate without needing a down payment the size of a small car. Here's what happened. His portfolio is now worth over $18,000. He's earned dividend payments every single quarter. And last year alone, his return was 8.3%, while his coworkers' savings accounts earned 0.5%. But here's the part that blew my mind when he explained it. Fundrise lets you invest in actual commercial properties, apartment complexes, industrial buildings. You own a piece of real assets, not some derivative, not some fund that tracks real estate, actual buildings generating actual rent. The minimum to start? $10. That's it. Marcus told me his Gen Z direct reports are obsessed with meme stocks and crypto, and he just smiles and nods while his real estate portfolio quietly compounds. He said something that stuck with me. He said, "Wealth isn't built in exciting moments. It's built in boring months that stack up." Now here's where this connects to something even more powerful that we'll get to later. Because Fundrise is great for passive income, but what if you could use similar apps to generate active income on the side without starting a business? Hold that thought. The second app is called Wealthfront, and I need you to forget everything you think you know about robo-advisors. A 29-year-old product manager named Jenna showed me her Wealthfront account during our interview. She's been using it for 4 years. Her balance? $112,000. But that's not the impressive part. The impressive part is the tax loss harvesting feature. Let me break this down because this is something wealthy people have paid financial advisors thousands of dollars for, and now it's automated and free. When one of your investments drops in value, Wealthfront automatically sells it and buys something similar. You now have a tax loss on paper that reduces your taxable income, but you still have essentially the same investment. Jenna told me this feature saved her $3,200 on her taxes last year. $3,200. That's money the IRS would have taken that she kept. And it happened automatically while she was sleeping. She showed me a screenshot of her tax loss harvesting summary. It was honestly kind of absurd. But here's what really sets Wealthfront apart for high earners. They have a cash account paying 4.5% APY right now. Jenna keeps her emergency fund there. 6 months of expenses. $42,000. That earns her about $157 every single month in interest. Her Gen Z team members keep their emergency funds in checking accounts earning zero. She doesn't correct them. She said it's not her job to teach them what she learned the hard way. Well, it might not be her job, but apparently it's mine. Because what I'm about to show you next is even more under the radar. And it's something I didn't even know existed until a 33-year-old VP of engineering pulled it up on his phone right in front of me. This third app changed how I think about investing completely. It's called Masterworks, and it lets you invest in blue-chip art. I know that sounds ridiculous. Art? Really? But listen to the numbers. Between 1995 and 2023, contemporary art appreciated at 14.1% annually. That beats the S&P 500. That beats real estate. That beats almost everything. The problem was always access. Art investing used to require millions of dollars and connections to galleries. Masterworks changed that. They buy paintings from artists like Banksy, Basquiat, and Picasso. Then they file with the SEC and let regular people buy shares. The VP I mentioned, his name is Derek. He put $10,000 across 5 different paintings over 2 years. One of them, a Banksy piece, sold for a 32% net return after fees. He said his Gen Z employees talk about NFTs constantly. Meanwhile, he's holding fractional shares of physical art that's been appreciating for decades and will likely continue for decades more. Now I want to be clear. This isn't a get-rich-quick play. Masterworks typically holds paintings for 3 to 7 years before selling. But that's exactly the point. The wealthy play long games. They lock up capital in appreciating assets and forget about it. Derek told me something that stuck with me. He said the best investments are the ones you can't panic sell at 2 in the morning. Art forces you to be patient, and patience is the actual secret to wealth. If you want more insights like this, hit subscribe. I drop one of these every single day. And speaking of tools that give you an edge, if you're creating any kind of content or building a side business, you need to check out 11 Labs at the link in the description. It's an AI voice tool that lets you create professional quality voiceovers and audio content. Founders I interviewed use it to scale their content without spending thousands on production. The link is try 11 Labs. IOSO 2PU1 09Y92JL1. Now let's talk about the app that actually shocked me most. The fourth app is iBonds through treasurydirect.gov. Yes, it's a government website. Yes, it looks like it was designed in 2003. And yes, millennial bosses are using it to earn 6.89% returns backed by the United States government. Here's what you need to do today. Go to treasurydirect.gov. Create an account. It takes about 15 minutes. Buy iBonds up to the $10,000 annual limit. These bonds are inflation adjusted. When inflation goes up, your rate goes up. A 30-year-old marketing director named Priya told me she maxes this out every single January. $10,000. Her rate last year averaged over 7%. That's $700 in guaranteed, government-backed returns. Zero risk. She told me her Gen Z direct reports are paralyzed trying to pick between savings accounts offering 4% or 4.2%. Meanwhile, she just quietly puts 10 grand into iBonds and moves on with her life. The catch? You can't touch the money for 1 year. But wealthy people don't need instant access to every dollar. That's the mindset shift. Liquidity is a cost, and the rich are willing to pay it. Now here's where I need to get counterintuitive with you. The fifth app is one you probably already have, but are using completely wrong. It's Venmo. Specifically, Venmo's business profile feature. Every young executive I interviewed who had built side income used this. Not for payments between friends, for small-scale business transactions that they tracked meticulously. A 27-year-old operations manager named Tyler does consulting on weekends. 15 hours a month at $200 an hour. That's $3,000 monthly, $36,000 a year. His Venmo business profile keeps every transaction documented. He showed me his annual summary, clean, organized, ready for tax time. But here's the counterintuitive part that most people miss. He doesn't keep that money in Venmo. The second it hits, he transfers it to his Wealthfront cash account, earning 4.5%. Then quarterly, he moves a chunk to his Masterworks account. Then annually, he maxes out his I-bonds. See what's happening? These apps aren't isolated tools. They're a system. Income flows through Venmo, grows in Wealthfront, diversifies into Masterworks and I-bonds, and compounds in Fundrise. The wealthy don't use one app. They use a network. And the fact that you're still watching means you understand something most people don't. Systems beat hacks. Every time. Now remember earlier when I mentioned generating active income without starting a business? Let's close that loop. The sixth app is called TopTal, and this one is specifically for anyone with a marketable skill. Design, development, finance, writing, strategy. TopTal is a platform that connects you with companies willing to pay premium rates for freelance work. But unlike Fiverr or Upwork, where you're competing with people charging $20 an hour, TopTal is vetted. They only accept 3% of applicants. The rates start around $100 an hour and go up from there. That 26-year-old marketing director I mentioned at the beginning, the one who made $4,000 extra from her emergency fund interest, she also made $22,000 last year through TopTal projects, nights and weekends, maybe 10 hours a week total. Her younger employees have no idea. She looks at them complaining about inflation while she's making their bi-weekly salary in side income every single month. The application process is rigorous. You'll face technical interviews and skill assessments, but that's the point. The barrier keeps the quality high and the rates premium.